Greetings everyone and welcome back. My name is Alfred, and in this video we're going to start off creating our Flutter authentication application. We'll start by heading over to the GitHub repository. I already provided the link of this repository in the description of this video below. If you want to code along, then go ahead and clone the project. I'm going to go to this button here, and I already have the link to this repository here. If you already have Git configured on your machine, please go ahead and clone the project. If you do not have the Git configured on your machine, then go ahead and download a zip file to your machine, then extract it to your desired location. All right, and for me, I already have Git configured, so I'm going to go ahead and copy the HTTPS link here. After copying that link, I'll go ahead on my desktop here. I'm going to bring in the Windows PowerShell. I'm running Windows. If you're running a Linux or Mac OS, go ahead and use the suitable terminal for you. After that, I'm just going to say git clone, and I'm going to paste in the link that I copied from the GitHub repository. After that, I'm going to press enter on my keyboard, and that should bring the repository on my desktop under this folder here called YouTube Flutter. After that, I'm going to go ahead and cd inside the YouTube Flutter, and here I'm going to launch the Visual Studio Code. I'll be using Visual Studio Code from Microsoft as my text editor. You're free to use the text editor or IDE of your choice. You could use the Android Studio instead of using the Visual Studio Code. But as for me, I'll prefer using the Visual Studio Code. All right. So when I have this project here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in the integrated terminal from VS Code here. And now what I can do, I can run this project here. This project, if you remember, is the project that we created when we were learning about how to create custom sidebar in Flutter. And before that, we had done the navbar, and before navbar, we had done the dark mode theme in Flutter. So you're going to get all those functionalities right in the application that we already have right here. To see those functionalities, let me go ahead and run this project. So I'm going to say Flutter run, and that should run the project inside the emulator that's already running right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to adjust the size of my VS Code so that I can accommodate both the editor and the emulator in the same screen. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to position my VS Code like that. And like that, now I have a view of both the Visual Studio Code and the emulator on the right side of the screen. Right, so when the project's building, let's go ahead to the project folder structure here. And inside the lib folder, we already have views, and inside views, we have pages. Inside these pages, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another folder here, and I'm just going to call it auth. After creating the auth folder, I'm going to create another file here, and I'll call this file register. Dot. After the creation of the register.dat, I'm going to create yet another file, and I'll call it login. Dot. All right. So this application already ran, and as you can see, we already have the custom sidebar that we created in the previous tutorial. All right. So here inside the registration screen, which is here, I'm going to create a stateful widget. So STF or scaffold or stateful widget, and I'll call this stateful widget register screen. You could call it whatever you want. You can call it register page or register activity. It doesn't matter for. So as for me, I'm just going to call it a register screen like that. Instead of returning the Flutter placeholder here, I'm going to return the save area instead. And the child of this save area, it's going to be a text, and this text is just going to be register. All right, so I'll do almost the same thing with the login. STF, it's going to give me a stateful widget, and here I'm just going to say it's going to be the login screen. And here, instead of returning the placeholder, again, I'm going to return the safe area, and this child of the safe area is going to be a text, and this text is just going to be login, like that. So I'm going to save that. What I can do, I'm going to collapse the sidebar so that we can have a wider view. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the main.dat, this file here, and instead of returning the my homepage class, I'm going to duplicate this. For now, I'll comment out the first line, and what I'm going to return here is the registration screen that we created just now. All right, so I'll go ahead and say return register screen, this screen here. All right, so after that, if I restart the application, it's going to now go to the registration screen, and there we have our new screen that we're going to be building upon to create the registration implementation in Flutter. All right, so we're going to stop here in this video. When we come back, we're going to continue creating the registration screen. Thank you very much for being with me on this one. I'll see you in the next one.